Hollywood's golden age built an image of untouchable icons, perfect beauty, flawless masculinity, eternal glamour. But when the lights went out and the asylum records were opened, the truth was far more chilling. Hidden files revealed not only bodies ravaged by addiction and illness, but scars from secret surgeries, unexplained bruises, and even traces of brutal shock therapy. Behind the glossy photographs, the legends of the screen were human after all, fragile, haunted, and often destroyed by the very system that made them famous. Buried in these forgotten files, there's one name that unsettles you the most: Frances Farmer. She was never the docile doll Hollywood wanted to buy. She was trouble from day one. Back in high school, she won a contest with an essay titled "God Dies." That wasn't just a school assignment. That was an act of rebellion. Paramount demanded glamour and dumb smiles. Frances fought back hard. She drove a beat-up car, wore no makeup, and openly despised their phony parties. But here's what really terrified the suits. The audience loved her. Her success was a slap in the face to the studio bosses. She was proving you could be a star without selling your soul. Frances believed her talent was a shield, but to the system, that talent was a target. In this business, independence is a crime punished by total destruction. The trap snapped shut the second she looked those producers in the eye and firmly said, "No." The newspaper headlines in the 1940s sold the public a simple story. They painted a portrait of a spoiled, ungrateful star who cracked under the weight of sudden wealth and freedom. The press, like vultures, feasted on every detail of her breakdowns. They wrote about broken bottles, torn clothes, and hotel brawls. To millions of readers, it looked like a classic, cautionary tale of Hollywood self-destruction. But if you crack open the sealed Paramount archives and cross-reference the dates on the police reports, the story flips. The real poison slowly killing Frances wasn't in a glass of expensive scotch. It was sitting on a judge's oak desk, hidden in a nondescript file of medical records. The murder weapon was a diagnosis. Back then, psychiatry in Hollywood served a double, sinister purpose. Under the noble mask of medical help lay a brutal punishment system for those who asked too many questions. A white coat gave doctors power that not even the police had. Instead of healing, diagnoses were tools of suppression. If an actress refused to obey a male producer, they didn't call it integrity or honesty. They called it hysteria. The label of insanity worked better than any blackmail. It turned a woman's protest, every word she spoke, into a symptom of a severe illness requiring isolation. The Paramount brass had a serious problem. Frances was a cash cow for the studio. Simply tearing up her contract meant losing profit and turning her into a martyr, fighting a soulless corporation. They needed a different, sharper solution. They needed to discredit her completely, strip her of her voice so that no one would ever dare stand in her corner. To pull off an operation like that, the system needed an insider, someone the public trusted implicitly. And they found the perfect stooge right inside her own house: Lillian Farmer, her mother. In public, Lillian played the saint, the heroic mother fighting through tears to save her wayward daughter from the abyss. She gave interviews, wrung her hands for the cameras, and begged society for sympathy. But behind the closed doors of the family mansion, it was cold calculation. Lillian Farmer didn't see a human being. She saw her most successful business asset. She believed she created Frances, which meant she had the right to own her. She lived off Frances's money. She fed on her fame to compensate for her own failures. As long as Frances was obedient, the gravy train kept rolling. But an independent daughter was a direct threat to the mother's lifestyle. A free Frances could cut off the funds and walk away at any moment. A committed Frances guaranteed Mama total, undivided control over every red cent. The studio and the mother cut a silent, dirty deal. The producers got rid of a troublesome actress using someone else's hands, keeping their own clean. Lillian got the absolute power she always craved. The custody hearing was a farce. It was like a hunt where the prey is already cornered. The judge looked at Frances strictly through the lens of medical reports pre-written by studio doctors. He ignored her logical arguments, choosing instead to listen to the sweet lies of a loving mother. The second Lillian Farmer put her signature on those involuntary commitment papers, she made a deal with the devil. She sold her own flesh and blood to the system to maintain her status. With that stroke of a pen, Frances Farmer, the actress, ceased to exist as a U.S. citizen. In her place stood a patient with an inventory number. A body with no rights, hand-delivered by her own mother into the hell of a state asylum, knowing full well there was no way out. The destruction began with a siren on a dark highway in October 1942. Driving with headlights on during wartime should have been a simple ticket. For Frances, it was the end. The cop saw prey, not a citizen. He provoked her, demanding total submission. Frances didn't do submissive. She demanded her civil rights. The system called it assault. The press called it a drunken brawl. But police reports tell the truth. She was dragged from the car, thrown in the dirt, and manhandled like a felon. Photographers were miraculously waiting to snap her screaming. By morning, the world saw a lunatic. Frances just saw men in uniform twisting her arms. That was the first blow. The second landed in court, January 1943. The public was primed. The judge turned the hearing into a public flogging. He mocked her looks while the gallery laughed. Desperation took over. She grabbed a heavy inkwell and hurled it at the judge. The point of no return. She screamed the line that would echo forever, "You have no right to break my heart." The crowd saw insanity. It was actually the cry of a cornered animal. They tackled her, dragging her out as she fought. By morning, Frances Farmer was certified, reputation dead. Now to kill the person. The third blow was fatal. Western State Hospital. Not a hospital, a warehouse for human refuse reeking of urine and fear. Stripped of her name, her clothes, and her dignity. Therapy was torture. Ice baths for 10 hours. They called it sedation. In reality, it was a slow, agonizing freeze until the mind shut down from pain. Worse was insulin shock therapy. A cure that was really a memory wipe. Massive doses of insulin-induced comas, starving the brain of sugar. Every session killed a piece of her intellect. She died and came back several times a week, always returning a little emptier. Darker rumors leaked out. Orderlies using patients as sex toys, forced to eat her own feces. Whispers of lobotomy. The system won. Torture did what producers couldn't. The rebel was gone, her intellect fried. When she walked out, she was a shadow, silent, broken. The system didn't cure her, it broke her will, proving one thing to the world. This is what happens when you say, no. Hollywood thought it was over. Frances didn't go back to the screen. She went to a hotel basement in Seattle, sorting dirty sheets, ironing shirts. The industry loved it. The rebel finally knew her place. 1958. TV show This Is Your Life. The host grinned and asked if she was cured. Frances just sat there and nodded. A broken doll. The studio got exactly what they wanted. Or so they thought. By trying to bury her, they made her immortal. Her silence was louder than her acting. She outlived every single one of her tormentors. Think this is ancient history? Wrong. For the bosses, this isn't a ghost story, it's a blueprint. Look at Britney Spears. Same script. Insulin shock became conservatorships. Ice baths became paparazzi. The goal never changed. Total control. The system only wants two things: obedient cash cows or profitable lunatics. So ask yourself, if they could break Frances Farmer just for saying no, think about tomorrow's headlines. When you read about the next star cracking up, is it sickness or is it punishment?